Hello everyone, I am Bhavna Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Gentech, Greater Noida. In entrepreneurship development, today we are going to discuss the role of entrepreneurs in export promotion. Now, export promotion is the integral part of foreign trade policy, and government encourages the export through various means. Government offers many tax and other concession to the exporters, and they also have directed the banks to provide credit facilities to the exporters. Now, government also gives export subsidy in case of certain items, and grants import replenishment license in respect for ensuring high quality of goods to be exported. Now, development of entrepreneurs in India led to both export promotion and import substitution. Now, they are exporting basically two types of items. One is traditional products, another one is non-traditional products. Traditional products like cashew nuts, spices, spice oil, and non-traditional products like cosmetics, chemicals, leather products, woolen. Now, next topic is export processing zone, popularly known as EPZ. Now, export processing zone is an industrial estate which is situated generally near international port to encourage the units meant for production of processing of export items. Now let's discuss the features of EPZ. The entire production of units is normally exported. Import of capital equipment, machinery, raw materials. For export production, they are free of import duty. And the procedure for import and export through EPZs is very simple and speedy. Now let's discuss the objectives of export processing zones. First, to generate foreign exchange earnings, to create employment in the nation, to attract foreign capital, to transfer the technology, to upgrade labor skills, and to create a link between EPZ industries and domestic economy. There are various export processing zones in India. First was set up in 1965 in Gujarat, that is Kandla Free Trade Zone. Then 6 more EPZs were set up in Santa Cruz, Mumbai, Palta, West Bengal, in Chennai, Noida, Cochin, and Visakhapatnam. So these are some of the EPZs which are established in India. Now next is export-oriented units. An export-oriented unit is a unit which is meant for export of its entire production, excluding the rejects items otherwise specifically permitted to be supplied to domestic tariff area. Now this export-oriented units was launched on 31st December 1980. Now what are the facilities which is given to export-oriented units and export processing zones, EOU and EPZ? First is that no import license is required for import of capital goods, raw materials, consumables. They are exempted from the payment of custom duty on capital goods, raw materials, components, spares. Next, second-hand capital goods may be imported from customers in importing countries without payment of any import duty. They are exempted from payment of central excise duty on capital goods, components, raw materials, which are procured from domestic tariff area. Up to 50% of production is permitted clearance for domestic sale at concessional rate. Now next is the difference between EOUs and EPZ. Now 100% EOUs, they can be set up in any part of India, but there are certain restrictions in setting up export processing zone. Now for EOUs, they have to set up their own infrastructure, while EPZ are being provided basic infrastructure like the factory building, land, power, water supply, etc. Next is special economic zones, SEZ. Now these have been set up to encourage free trade for the purpose of promotion of exports. Now it is SEZ is specifically a duty-free enclave and shall be deemed to be foreign territory for the purpose of trade operations, duties and tariffs. They may be set up in the public, private or joint sector or by state government as notified by the central government. Now, what are the privileges to the units which are being set up in special economic zones? Units set up in special economic zone, they may import goods from domestic tariff area, which is known as DTA, or other special economic zones or export processing zones without payment of duty for export or sale to other SEZ, EPZ or EOU. Now, special economic zones may sell goods and services in domestic tariff area in accordance with import policy. Scrap, waste or rejects, they may be sold in DTA. SEZ units may subcontract a part of their production process in domestic tariff area with the permission of custom authority. And last, inter-unit transfer of goods amongst special economic zones shall not require any permission. Now next is the measures for export promotion. Now major export promotion measures are being taken by government over a number of years, which we are going to discuss. First is export processing zones. Now these have been set up in different parts of country to provide an internationally competitive duty-free environment for production of exports. Units which are situated in EPZ, they are allowed to make duty-free import of all types of goods which is required by them for manufacture of goods and services meant for export. So these units, they are not required to pay any import duty on imported capital goods, raw materials, components, spares, consumables, which is to be used for production of goods meant for production, for export. Next is special economic zones. These have been set up with view to encourage free trade up and for the purpose of promotion of exports. This we have just discussed that goods which are going to be into the special economic zones area, they are treated as deemed exports. And goods which are coming from special economic zones into domestic tariff area, they will be treated as imported goods. Next is export oriented units. Now, this was launched in 1980, and EOUs have been set up for export of their entire production, excluding the rejects and items which are specifically permitted to be sold in domestic market. Now, EOUs can be established in any part of the country. They may be established in the export processing zone or outside that zone. So 100% EOUs which are located in export processing zones, they are known as export processing zone units. So EOUs, they are allowed to import capital machinery, material or other things for the purpose of export production without payment of any import duty. Now next is export houses. Now under the EXIM policy, central government, they have given recognition to the export houses to encourage creation of marketing structure and expertise which is required for export promotion. Now, depending upon their contribution to the export promotion, they are recognized as export trading houses. Now, these export houses, they function as highly professional institutions to undertake exports of goods produced in the country. Next is export of services. Now, in order to encourage export of services, government has launched scheme of recognizing various categories of services house. They are recognized on the basis of export performance of service providers. So they are recognized as service export house or international service export house. Next is export promotion capital goods scheme. Now new capital goods like the computer software system, they may be imported under export promotion capital goods scheme, EPCG scheme. Now under this, goods like fixtures, molds, spares, they may be imported but at 5% custom duty. Now this import is subject to export obligation, which is equivalent to 5 times of the value of capital goods on free on board basis to be fulfilled over a period of 8 years. So import of capital goods shall be subject to actual user condition till the export obligation is complete. And last is deemed exports. Now goods supplied by business units to the export oriented units or export processing zones, they are treated as deemed exports, even though goods supplied do not leave the territories of country. So deemed exports are eligible for various benefits like advance license for deemed exports duty drawback, and refund of terminal excise duty. So in this lecture, we have discussed the export promotion, various units, export-oriented units, export processing zones, special economic zones in detail. Thank you. That's all for today.